Welcome to the podcast about venture capital, where investors and founders alike can learn how VCs make decisions and reach conviction. Your host is Nick Moran, and this is The Full Ratchet.
Welcome back for another edition of Investor Stories. On this special segment, the experts describe the most important lesson that they've learned and how that has changed the way they invest. This is the special segment called Lessons Learned.
On today's special segment, we have Miriam Rivera of Ulu Ventures. Miriam, can you tell us a story highlighting a critical lesson that has changed the way you invest?
When we first started investing, we didn't always use our model. And like our first fund, which is like 64 investments, probably used it about 44 investments, and we didn't use it in 20. So we kind of had a A/B test, for example. And in the 20 where we didn't use it, there are none of our winners. And in our 44 where we used our process, all of our winners. And fact is that I think having a process, regardless of what that process looks like, but anything that you develop more objective, transparent ways of learning about how good your evaluations are will help you to become a better investor. And so from my point of view, that was a really instructive thing. And the model is our best thinking, right? It's our best thinking. We supposedly put in everything in there that we are concerned about. We put in all the things, the upside and the downsides and the, base cases. And literally there are thousands of permutations that get run in this model. So at the end of the day, we also had made the mistake of sometimes thinking, well, the model says this, but I'm not really sure I believe it. So let's not invest as much in this company as the model would indicate, only to have that be one of the most successful companies in the entire fund and now a public company. So I won't name which one it was.
Wow.
On this special segment, we have Jonathan Ebinger of Blue Run Ventures in Transform Capital. Jonathan, can you tell us a story highlighting a critical lesson that has changed the way you invest?
Yeah, I think we were talking about founders a few minutes ago. We generally we're kind of two minds at both the Blue Run and Transform about do you back a founder? Are you backing the founder? Or are you backing the team or backing the idea? And this is one that we backed a company called Cabbage. There were three founders: Catherine, Mark, and Rob. And Mark left a few years in to start a new company up. And he pitched me and I just passed on the deal. I said, well, this is interesting, but I wasn't really ready to move on that. It was very much of a seed deal at that point. And I really should have just stuck with my conviction. I backed him once, even though Cabbage had not exited, and I should have backed him again. He ended up founding Roadie, which just sold to UPS just a few weeks ago. And he did a great job. And since then, we thought, look, we have to just stick with these folks. Obviously, I mentioned Reed earlier in terms of what he did at LinkedIn. We've gotten a lot smarter. We backed Max Lefton and his next few companies after PayPal. We backed another guy named Ben Kieran. Ben sold a company to Apple. We backed his next company. The founders of Cabbage started another company. We backed them. And so we're really starting to bet the jockey a lot more than we used to. Oftentimes the company we invest in ends up being a little different than what they initially think because we're getting in early. I'm sure you see that all the time at Newstack as you kind of go down that wandering road a bit to find value. But I think having that insight of already knowing how these founders operate is really goes a long way to helping you and them be successful the next time around. I backed to that point, I just backed the founder of Coupa, started a new company up, and I backed him. We went in super early. We went in about as early as you would go in, but I didn't want to learn that lesson again. I didn't want him to get away. I knew he had great product vision, and I just thought, look, let's just go in. It wasn't a category we loved, but it was a leader that we knew could excel. So that's probably the most critical lesson I've learned is that, as I said, it is a people business. And I was listening to your podcast with Neil Sekera from DeFi, and he was saying something quite similar, actually, that it's a people business, even at the later stage. So we've learned that, and believe me, we've invested in some really exciting technologies, which just haven't panned out. I mean, for a lot of different reasons, but oftentimes those founders will step back up to the plate, and we'll find a reason to work with them again.
On this special segment, we have Mariana Saenko of Future Ventures. Mariana, can you tell us a story highlighting a critical lesson that has changed the way you invest?
I've gotten so many lessons. I think my prayer these days is for gentle lessons. Because when they're harsh lessons, they're painful to learn. My most critical lesson is to trust my own intuition around the quality and the integrity of people we're dealing with, and to ensure that and I'm going to be a little vague here because I don't want to call people out. I don't think that's the point of this exercise. But I think as investors, part of our job is to ensure that we're working with the clearest, highest integrity people that we can be. And I think then in turn, it's to ensure that our entrepreneurs are supported in being able to make the same decisions for their companies. And it's been such an exceptional gift in my own career, in, Steve showing up in support of me in moments where LPs were slightly demeaning to me, or some entrepreneur walked in and said, I only want to talk to Steve Jurvetson, and who are you? And Steve in turn turns around and says, well, actually, she's the technical expert in this field. And so being bolstered and supported in my own partnership in that way has made me recognize the importance of ensuring that everyone who works within our portfolio companies feels the same in the cultures of their companies and in who they work with in subsequent rounds. And I think that just really, it enables the best possible environment, because it means that every room you walk into, every subsequent board meeting you're in, every potential funding round, you're working with people who actually respect you and who in turn are willing to fully hear out your perspectives and your ideas. And I think just supporting entrepreneurs and realizing that is not only a reasonable, but a necessary ask of anyone they work with. Just reminding people that they have the right to ask for people to treat them decently. And that's a baseline necessity. It's unfortunate to me that this is a lesson that we keep having to learn.
Still, yeah.
But I think it's so integral. And it just means that you start with a basis of mutual trust and respect.
That will conclude this installment of Investor Stories. If you're enjoying the program and would like to see it continue, take a moment and leave a 5-star review in iTunes. Also, if you'd like updates on new content from TFR, as well as the top 10 VC articles every week, go to fullratchet.net and sign up for the newsletter. Okay, that will wrap things up for today. Until next time, over-prepare, choose carefully, and invest confidently. Thanks for joining me.